Hello, students. Now, as we have completed chapter 2 of geography, now we will continue with the chapter number 3, that is our changing earth. Okay, so this chapter also we have divided into two parts, so it will be easy for you to understand it. So, this one is the part 1 of this chapter. Okay, so what is our changing earth? What do you understand by it? Changing earth means earth in a changing process, right? So, our restless earth is always changing. Restless means it never take rest. It never takes rest as it is restless and it is always in a changing mode, but in a very slight mode, in a very light mode that we cannot observe it every time, right? So, tectonic plates drift, the crust quakes and means the earthquakes, and volcanoes erupt. Air pressure falls, storms form, and precipitation results. These powerful forces shape our air, land, water, and weather and constantly transform our planet. Okay, so these are certain reasons for the change of the earth. Okay, so these changes which are these all these powerful things results for the change of our air, land, water, and weather. Okay, and this constantly transform our planet, and our response to earth's changes will impact our future on earth, right? How we are responding towards the earth's changes, it will impact our future on earth, and our choices impact our future earth. How our future earth will be, our choices means all our deeds are will be the example of, or will be having the impact on our future earth, right? That is why it is said that we should control pollution. We should not pollute our earth, otherwise the future of our earth will not be good, and our future on this particular earth will also not be good, right? So the distribution of land, water has not always been the same on the earth's surface as it is today. So which are, as in the last chapter we have learned about the rocks, formation of rocks, rock cycle, right? So in this chapter you will learn about the volcanoes and the earthquakes, okay, and how the continents drift. So the distribution of land and water that is right now on our earth, that has not always been the same on the earth's surface as it is in the today's date. To explain the current position of the continents and oceans, several scientists put forth different theories. They have given, or they have come up with the different theories according to their own point of view. So the foremost attempt was made by Alfred Wegener in 1912. Now remember this, the first attempt was done by Alfred Wegener in 1912. He has given a particular theory for it. Okay, everybody was just giving their suggestions or their theories in an assumption form, but he has given a proper reason behind that, right? Alfred Wegener. Now, remember the name of this person? He was a German meteorologist. Okay, he tried to explain the present division of the continents and the oceans. He has explained that how the present the situation or the division of the earths and oceans and continents has been done. Okay, so now we will learn about the continental drift theory. It is given by Alfred Wegener. So, according to the theory of Alfred Wegener, a supercontinent called Pangaea broke into different continents 200 million years ago. So, you can just imagine that how many millions ago this has been happened, that this person has given the name of of this supercontinent, means according to him all the continents were together, were joined with each other 200 million years ago, right? And this supercontinent, this big continent is called Pangaea. Okay, and the continents drifted to the present location, and they have started drifting from each other, aparting from each other, and they have come to this present location as we can see it on our map or globe, right? So this theory is called the continental drift theory. Okay, so the name of his theory was continental drift theory, means how the continents are drifting from each other, aparting from each other. This theory was improved by the theory of plate tectonics, which was put forth in 1968. Okay, and if you have seen the movie, I'm sure about it that you all must have seen the movie Ice Age. Have you seen the movie Ice Age? In that movie, that particular movie is totally based on continental drift. Okay, how the continents were drifting from each other. That movie was completely based on that. Okay, so this theory was revised by or improved by the theory of plate tectonic, and it was put forth in 1968. Okay, now remember it. Alfred Wegener has given his theory in 1912, and it was improved by the theory of plate tectonics, and which was put forth in 1968. So after this, you can see this diagram, which you can see the position of the Earth. 225 million years ago means 200 million years before than that, there was a supercontinent. You can see in the first picture of globe that all the continents are joined with each other at some point, right? And that is called Pangea. Okay, after that, around 150 million years ago, it has been divided into two parts, or two different names has been given to it: Laurasia and Gondwana. Okay, and after that, the picture of 100 million years ago is given to you, the third one. Okay, here you can see all the continents, and now the current situation, the Earth today, is written over here in the fourth picture, in the fourth globe picture, and you can see all the continents are separate from each other. Okay, so this is the situation, this is the diagram, you can say, for the continental drift theory, that it has been happened after millions of years. Okay, so the picture of 225 million years ago, or the 200 million years ago, you can say, or the second picture is of 150 million years ago, and the third one is of 100 million years ago, and the fourth picture is of the Earth, that is today, means all the continents, how they are positioned right now, that is given in the fourth picture. Okay, so this theory was given by Alfred Wegener in 1912. Now, as I told you that this theory was revised by the theory of plate tectonics in 1968. So, according to the theory of plate tectonics, the outer layer of the Earth is made up of rock plates. As we all know that the outer layer of the Earth, the lithosphere, is made up of rocks. We have learnt in the last chapter also, no? So, it is made up of rock plates known as lithospheric or tectonic plates. Okay, so these plates means one upon the other, the layer of rocks is there. These plates move extremely slow, and each year they move about a few millimeter. You can imagine how less quantity it used to move to. So each year they move about a few millimeters only. Various changes on the surface of the earth are caused by the movements of lithospheric plates. Okay, many changes happen on the surface of the earth due to this. Movements of the plates occur due to various forces acting upon it, as we have learned in the last chapter, the interior forces and the outer forces also. Right? Interior structure of the earth we have learned now. So these movements happen due to various forces acting upon it. Okay, inside the earth or outside the earth. Two broad categories of these forces are endogenic and exogenic forces. Endogenic and exogenic. Exogenic is related to external and endogenic is related to internal. Okay. So, endogenic forces, now look at it. Endogenic forces act in the interior of the earth. As the name suggests, endo means under. So endogenic forces act in the interior of the earth. They produce slow as well as sudden movements like earthquakes and volcanoes, which cause mass destruction over the surface of the earth. We all are aware of that earthquakes and volcanoes cause a lot of destruction, right? So these very slow as well as sudden movements that happen inside the earth, like earthquakes and volcanoes, they cause mass destruction. Okay, a great quantity of destruction over the surface of the earth. Horizontal and vertical movements are also produced by them inside the earth, which result in variety of relief features like mountain buildings. Okay, so mountains form if the volcanoes are there, or due to the earthquake, if there is a gathering of the stones or something like that. Especially the mountain formation is due to volcanoes. Okay, so these are the causes of endogenic force. Now, exogenic forces. Exogenic forces means the forces that are outside the earth. So, the exogenic forces work on the surface of the earth. Erosional and depositional works are done by exogenic forces like river, wind, glaciers, and sea waves. As I told you in the rock formation also, that erosion and deposition are very important in the formation of all the minerals and all the rocks. So here, river, wind, glaciers, and sea waves are the main forces that do this erosion and deposition work. Right? Erosion is done by river, wind, glacier, and sea, and when they erode the things and just take them away with themselves, and they used to deposit them at some another place. Okay. So next is your earth movements. So here you can see see all these things as I told you about the endogenic and exogenic forces. We can learn it with the help of a diagram. So here is a flow chart. Just look at it. Earth movements is divided into two parts, right? Endogenic forces and exogenic forces. Now, what are endogenic forces? In endogenic forces, there are two kinds of forces. One is sudden forces, and second is the diastrophic forces. Okay, so what are sudden forces? Sudden forces means, for example, earthquakes, volcanoes, or landslides that happen. They are the sudden forces that happen from inside the earth. Okay, and diastrophic forces are building mountains. Okay, due to these sudden forces, diastrophic forces also happens, and they build the mountains. Okay, next is your exogenic forces. Exogenic forces is related to erosion and deposition, as we have learned, and the reason of these erosions and all the depositions are rivers, wind, sea waves, and glaciers. Okay, you can show it, present it in the form of this flowchart also. Okay, this is your volcanoes. Now let us learn about the volcanoes. So volcanoes, we all are aware of what all volcanoes are. We have seen it in pictures. Obvious, if we have not seen in front of our eyes, we all have seen the volcanoes in the pictures. So volcanoes can be simply defined in simple language. If we will talk about, they are defined as an opening in the earth's crust through which molten material comes out from the interior of the earth. Okay, from the interior of the earth, the molten material means the your magma that I told you, that it melts inside the earth. When it comes out, it called lava, right? And it is the cause of forming of your igneous rocks, right? So earth's crust through which molten material comes out from the interior of the earth. This material consists of lava, ash, hot molten rocks, steam, gas, and solid rock particles. Okay, these all things can come out from inside the earth in the form of lava, ash, hot molten rocks, steam, gas, and solid rock particles. Okay, the opening of the volcanoes is called a vent. Okay, the opening part, the upper circle part from where all these materials are coming out, that is called vent. A conical means that particular line from inside the earth it is coming out, that particular passage is called the vent. At the top, okay, a conical mountain may be formed around it as it is coming out, and it is flowing from it outside, and it is depositing over there, so it form like a conical mountain. It looks like a conical mountain, a cone shaped mountain. Crater of the volcanoes is a funnel shaped basin surrounding the vent. Okay, at the top, bacha, from where all these things are coming out, the uppermost part which is visible to us, that is called a crater. Okay, so we learn about the structure of a volcano. Now look at this diagram, bacha. This is the structure of a volcano. If you can see, at the bottom magma chamber is there. Magma chamber, as I told you, magma chamber is in the uppermost layer is crust, after that mantle. So it is the mantle part, okay, or the upper lower crust part. So magma chamber is there, but magma chamber tries to come out. As you can see that this is of orange color, means it is the hot molten magma. When it is coming out, main vent is written over here. This is the main vent. Main vent means the thick one vent from where it is coming out. Okay. Next is your when we will go up, the small you can see that one small pipe is there from where the secondary cone is written over there. So secondary cone is also called the side vent also, beta. Okay, it is called the secondary vent or the side vent also. When it comes out, the uppermost part from where all the lava and ash clouds, everything is coming out, that is called crater. Okay, and the smoke that is there at the top, that is called ash cloud. Ashes are coming out, volcanic bombs also you can tell them, and the flow of it is called lava flow. Okay, and here if you can see which are many layers are here. So these layers are of ashes and lava that are coming outside from the earth, the magma that is melting and coming outside, and it is forming the layer outside. Why? Because it cools down, it deposited over there and it cools down over there, and it forms like a mountain. It forms a mountain over here of a cone shape. Okay, conical shape mountain it can form. So this is the diagram, or this is the structure of a volcano. Now next, types of volcanoes. So volcanoes are basically of three types, which are so on the basis of nature and frequency of eruption. Okay, how frequently they erupt. On the basis of that, the volcanoes are divided or classified into three types. First is the active volcano. Active volcano, as the name suggests, they are very active. Okay, they erupts very easily and frequently. Dormant volcanoes are like that, which hardly erupt, but whenever they erupt, they causes a lot of destruction. And number three is extinct volcano. Extinct, as the name suggests, it is extinct. These volcanoes are extinct. Hardly they erupt. Okay. Nowadays they do not. They have not been erupted from past many thousand years. So that is why they are called extinct volcanoes. First is active volcano. What are active volcanoes? They are also termed as living volcanoes. As I told you, they erupt very frequently. So they are also called living volcanoes. They erupt frequently and hurl out gases, ashes, lava, and rocks. Okay. A belt of such volcanoes are found around the Pacific Ocean and is called the Ring of Fire. Okay. These all are they are in a sequence, and that is called a particular belt, and that particular belt is called the Ring of Fire. Okay, and it is around the Pacific Ocean. Some famous volcanoes are Mount Etna in Italy and Barren Island in the Andaman Sea, that is in India. We all know, right? So now look at the pictures of active volcanoes. So here you can see which are, as it is visible that how destructive it is, right? A lot of lava and ashes are coming out from it. Okay, so they are very living volcanoes. They are all the time, most of the times they are active. Okay, they hurl out very frequently. And after the active volcanoes, about dormant volcanoes. So, what are dormant volcanoes? Dormant volcanoes are those volcanoes which have not erupted from a very long time. Okay, they erupt, but they have not been erupted from a very long period of time. They are also termed as sleeping volcanoes. Okay, sleeping volcanoes. Most of the time they sleep, but they wake up and they burst also. Okay, they flows also. So, Mount Vesuvius in Italy is a dormant volcano. Dormant volcanoes become destructive when they come to life. Okay, so whenever they come to life, when they are active, they are very destructive. Pictures of dormant volcano, as here is a dormant volcano, you can see, and this is in the form when it is sleeping. Okay, and here is the dormant volcano in active form. Okay, they are very destructive when they are active. Okay, so after volcano, there are extinct volcanoes. So extinct volcanoes are inactive and therefore called dead volcanoes also. Okay, so they are inactive, they are not at all active, and then that is why they are called dead volcanoes. Okay, extinct means जो खो गए हैं, they are dead. So Kilimanjaro in Africa and Rainier in the USA are the example of extinct volcano. Calderas are lakes which are formed from extinct volcanoes. Okay. However, volcanoes cannot be addressed as extinct with complete certainty. Okay. If it is a volcano which are obvious, it has been burst at some period of time. So we cannot say or address them as extinct, but from past many thousand years they have not been erupted. That is why they are called extinct. Now look at the picture. This is the Mount Kilimanjaro, as we have learned in the example also. This is the Mount Kilimanjaro volcano. It is an extinct volcano. Okay. So next is the distribution of volcano. Distribution of volcano, which are the most of the volcanoes in the world are located in two distinct belts. Okay. In your earthquakes also we will learn about the position of them as per the belts. So they are located in mainly two type of belt, though they are distributed in three type of belts, but mainly they are distributed in two. First is the circum-Pacific belt and second is the mid-world mountain belt. What is circum-Pacific belt? Circum-Pacific belt is it is encircles the Pacific Ocean. Okay, it encircles the Pacific Ocean. It is around the Pacific Ocean, and it is also known the Pacific Ring of Fire. As I told you, the active volcanoes are also called Ring of Fire, and they are around the Pacific Ocean. So that is why they are called the Pacific Ring of Fire. Most of the volcanoes are located in the Andes of South America and the Rockies of North America. They are the positioning of them. Okay, most of the volcanoes are around them, active volcanoes, right? Second is the mid-world mountain belt. Now, mid-world mountain belt, it consists of the extinct and dormant volcanoes that lie along the Mediterranean Sea. Okay, so in the mid-world mountain belt, these extinct and dormant volcanoes are there, which are not much destructive, as we have learned. Means the extinct one, they do not burst. Okay, they do not hurl out ashes and lava. And dormant volcanoes, most of the time, they are called the sleeping volcanoes. Okay, and they sometimes they used to burst, but they are very destructive when they are bursting. So, so this was the distribution of volcanoes. So is there in this particular part, Bacha. We have learned today about the volcanoes. In the next part of this chapter, we will learn about the earthquakes. Okay, so just go through the video carefully, Bacha. If you will be having any kind of doubt, you can ask me in the MS Teams session. Okay, so take care of yourself and till the time, goodbye.